Good morning, my friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Before we get started, it's the day before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have a just fantastic, blessed, easy, joyful Thanksgiving tomorrow. I know that we are going to gobble till we wobble, and Thanksgiving is absolutely one of my absolute favorite holidays. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Now, you know what happens after Thanksgiving, right? The day after, a couple of days after, this is when we all kick off that great holiday shopping. And Creekside is going to be no different, right? So we are obviously that small family business, both retail garden center and online. And so tomorrow is Black Friday. After Thanksgiving is Black Friday. Then you have Small Business Saturday. You got Cyber Monday. There are all sorts of great deals happening. Creekside is no different. So if you want to get some really great deals, like these will be the best deals that we will have all year, I want you to head on over, click the link that I'm providing for you, sign up for our emails and text messages if you are not already subscribed to that, because you're going to get notified of these great holiday deals that we have. Now, what I have behind me and what we're going to focus on today are some of these amazing shrubs that we still have here at the nursery that are ready to ship to you right this minute. So as soon as you place that order, these shrubs are going to ship to you either that same day or the next day. Depending on if you order on Saturday, I'm sorry, we're not shipping on Sunday. We'll send it to you on Monday morning. But we have got some great shrubs for you. So I'm going to go through and kind of highlight ones that we have. I'm not going to hit every one. If you're interested in something, head on over to gardeningwithcreekside.com. Look it up. We'll let you know that we have it, and all of these shrubs are ready to ship to you right now. Now you may be thinking, Jenny, it's Thanksgiving. Why in the world am I ordering shrubs now? Because especially my people who are in those warmer zones, this is the perfect time to be putting these shrubs into your garden. Whether you want to plant them directly into the garden or you want to put them in a container, let them get bigger as the fall, winter progresses, and then add them in the spring. You absolutely can do that. So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you, highlight some of the ones that I love that we have grown for years. Maybe they're new. All sorts of fun things. So this is going to be a shrub specific video highlighting these sweet babies. So without further ado, let's get going. Now, when you order online, you're going to notice that all of our shrubs are going to be in a quart size container. This is a quart, all right? So we're in the hydrangea block right now. But when you get your shrub, you're going to notice it is in this quart-size container. If you want to put it into the landscape, you can, especially if you're in those warmer zones, then you can do that. However, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, just go ahead and move it up. We're going to talk about which shrubs can last a long time in a container, but all of these sweet babies can go ahead and be moved up to a decorative container, what have you, and they will have gorgeous roots. Especially your hydrangeas. Hydrangeas tend to be a very cold tolerant, do really well, have lots of good root growth in the wintertime. So we have a really nice selection. So what I was showing you was pufferfish. Pufferfish, of course, is relatively new on the market, gorgeous panicle, and does really fluffy blooms, hence its name, pufferfish. Now, if you get your hydrangeas and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing just looks sad. Well, remember that all hydrangeas are deciduous. We've had some very cool mornings, and so depending on the variety, some of them are already starting to lose leaves. They're brown, they're falling off. Is the plant dead? Absolutely not. If you bend it, then you know that it is still alive. It's just simply saying, you know what? I've had a great summer. I'll see y'all next spring. So pufferfish is going to be in that 3 to 5 foot range. And while you absolutely can start it out in a container, if you had a really large container, you could keep it in that as well. Does great in the full sun. All your panicles are going to do great in the sun. Then we have got, some really fun of the Let's Dance series that I adore. So one is the Let's Dance Lovable. Now, Lovable is a beautiful one That is going to be let's see if I can get the tag here for you. It is a reblooming macrophylla hydrangea. So big leaf, right? So it's a macrophylla. It is going to be pH dependent. So it's either going to be pink or it could be on the blue side, depending on your soil's pH level. Hardy in zones of 5 to 9. You can see how it's such a nice, tight little habit on it. It is going to be 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. So a lot of these Let's Dance series are going to be those reblooming hydrangeas. So they're going to bloom on old growth and new growth. So next door you can see we have Areba. Areba is really still holding on to her foliage really, really well. It's doing a great job. And then you can see like next door, we've got over here, we've got the Skyview. And Skyview looking a little rough, but it's okay. Just your hydrangeas will lose leaves at different times. So Areba is a really fun one because one of the name, Let's Dance Areba, right? So this again is going to be a reblooming hydrangea, which is great. Why do you care if it's a reblooming hydrangea? Well, one is because it's going to bloom on its old growth, old wood. So it's already set its buds for this coming spring, right? So this year it started to do some bud set for 2025. If you're in the colder zones, right? If you're in zones even like maybe 6A, 5, 4, that kind of situation, then you have really hard winters, right? You have really harsh winters. Maybe you have a ton of snow load and you might have, you might lose those blooms over your winter time. If you're in the south, like me, I don't really have that bad of a winter, right? Very mild compared to other parts of the country. But our springs are quite challenging because, as you know, it warms up and you're like, everybody's waking up, the plants are waking up, they're like, woohoo, spring's here. And then bam, you get this last hard freeze and it kills all of that new growth that's popping out on your hydrangeas. So a lot of times in the past, our macrophylla hydrangeas do not bloom is because they've been killed. Those buds have been killed by that late frost. When it's a rebloomer, you do have buds on old growth. So if the spring is cooperative, you get that first flush of flowers, but they also bloom on new growth. So later on in the season, you get a whole another flush of flowers and they continue to bloom throughout the season. Remember there at the garden center, well, I was just in there the other day and I was showing you that hydrangea that's blooming in the large pot. This is one of those reblooming big leaf hydrangeas. So very excited. The breeding on this has been amazing, that we just adore those kinds of things that our friends at Spring Meadow are doing. Now, if you're looking for some Oakleaf hydrangeas, we have got great ones. My favorites really are the Gatsby Gal and the Gatsby Pink. They're called Oakleaf hydrangeas, of course, because look at those leaves, right? They have that classic oak leaf. The Gatsby Gal is going to be one that you can put in more sun. Historically, your Oakleaf hydrangeas really do want like filtered sun, maybe morning sun, afternoon shade. Your Gatsby Gal is going to be your most sun tolerant, especially if you have it on irrigation. Even if you're in the south, like me, you can put Gatsby Gal in the sun. It is hardy in zones 5 to 9, so it's very, very adaptable. It's going to get a decent size to it. Now for an oak leaf, it's not going to be that big. Mimi has one that's every bit of like 12 feet tall. This is Gatsby Gal is going to be 5 to 6 feet tall. So very, very manageable for the landscape. Great size. Of course, does these gorgeous creamy white flowers. Gatsby Pink, guess what? Going to give you some pink flowers on that one, right? And so it is, you get that gorgeous color. And then in the fall, the foliage on your oak leaves are stunning. Rich, rich burgundy color. And they hold their leaves longer. It is a gorgeous plant, both in the spring and the summer with its flowers, and then in the fall with that foliage. Oh my goodness, it is absolutely stunning. Now, I get asked all the time, can hydrangeas go in containers and stay in containers? And my answer is absolutely. The two things that I would say is, one, get the largest pot that your space can allow, because you need as much soil for those roots to grow in so they can stay in that pot longer, right? And then two is look at your growing zone, okay? So for example, what am I talking about? Well, one that's gonna be a perfect one to put in a container that you may look at right now and you're like, Jenny, it is solid sticks. And yes, it is. Okay, so this is tiny quick fire. This is one of the newer ones, and y'all, it is a truly little petite plant. However, she did lose her leaves relatively early compared to some other ones. Now, let's talk about the tiny quick fire. Okay, so we're talking about growing zones. Tiny quick fire is hardy in zones 3 to 8. So even my zone 3 people, you absolutely can have this. Now we're talking about growing zones and being aware of that and putting it in a container. If you want to be super safe, then you can go, I would say, because we're thinking more about the winter, right? The summer, totally fine. Can handle that, container, not a problem. But if you want to look at it and say, if you were in a zone 3, I would be very, cautious as far as putting it in a container, because the container, of course, is going to get even colder than it would be in the ground. So if you're zone 3, I would be, Now, if you could bring your container in a protected area for the wintertime, maybe a shed or a garage or what have you, then you're okay. You absolutely could put this in a container if you're in a zone 5, right? Because you've got 2 growing zones that it can go colder than you. So if you really want to play it safe, as long as that shrub is 2 zones colder than what you are absolutely safe. If you're one zone or that zone as far as the cold level, then just be a little bit aware and know that maybe you need to protect it or put it in a part of your garden or, like I said, some sort of protected area where it stays safe. Tiny quick fire is perfect for containers because it doesn't get very big, hence its name. It's only going to be like 2 feet tall, especially if you're in the colder zones. It's going to be a little bit smaller. If you're in the warmer zones like I am, then we tend to go a little bit bigger than what the tag tells us. So it's going to be nice and petite. This is perfect for the front of your flower bed, that container that you may want to put somewhere. Love tiny quick fire. And for my southern people like me, it does take a nice pink rose hue for you in the late summer into the fall. So that is kind of rare for us. Also, quick fire fab. So we've got a lovely selection of quick fire fab. This is going to be one of your earliest blooming panicles out there on the market. It is going to be a nice medium size, probably in that like 4 foot tall, 4 to 5 foot tall size. Really nice. Love that. Now, my serrata people, whoever, if you know what the serratas are, the mountain hydrangeas. We have got Tough Stuff Top Fun, and Tough Stuff Top Fun is one holding its foliage quite nicely. Look at that. But Top Fun is another rebloomer, except this time it's going to be a lace cap instead of a macrophylla. And so it is that beautiful lace cap, pH dependent, so you could have pink or blue blooms, hardy in zones 4 to 9, 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So Top Fun is another great option for you folks who want to put your hydrangeas in containers. I know that every time I talk to gardeners, Jerry and I were just at the Proven Winners Landscape Roadshow at Pinehurst. And so this is where like landscapers, it's open to the public, anybody can come. And so we had both residential folks who were there, home gardeners, we had garden clubs there, we had professionals there, everybody was there. The number one really concern about across the board on all those people, deer, right? Deer is a huge problem because in so many gardens, because they're just overpopulated, right? We have a huge abundance of deer out there, and it is a problem for so many gardeners. If hydrangeas get eaten alive by your deer, one great option, and I know there's people out there that say, Jenny, this doesn't even work for me, but is to put your hydrangea in a container and then put it somewhere where those deer are less likely to be grazing. So you can still have your hydrangeas, even if you have a deer, pressure problem, just put it somewhere where they are not going to come and eat. Maybe it's a porch, maybe it's a deck, maybe it's behind a fence. I don't know what it is, right? But you can have hydrangeas, maybe just not in the traditional way that you're thinking of. Try putting them in containers and move them away from where those deer come in. So that's an option for you. One of my all-time favorite butterfly bushes, Pugster pinker, is an absolutely fantastic butterfly bush. One, for us in the South, it is a semi-evergreen. Look at the color on this plant, y'all. Is this thing not gorgeous? It is a silvery gray blue hue to it. These are some stunning plants. Pugster pinker is going to be obviously a lovely, nice, rich pink. The Pugster series of butterfly bushes are nice and petite. They're not going to be giant ones like your grandmama's, right? These are going to be in that 3-foot range. Gorgeous, tend to be deer resistant. So I always say if their deer are hungry, they will eat anything, but they tend to be deer resistant, and they are, once they start blooming, they will bloom all the way up to a hard freeze. If you're in the warmer zones like I am, I call them semi-deciduous, right? So they're not going to be as full and as lush in January as they are in July, obviously, but they don't go completely naked. They don't lose all of their leaves, which I like. I like still having a little bit of that structure and that color on my butterfly bush, because my hydrangeas, they are going to lose every single bit of those leaves and be completely naked. Now, I would say, of our absolute most popular shrubs here, especially this fall, are these two shrubs right here. And I think you can tell why, because there's one tray of this and there's maybe 1.5 trays of this. El Nino. If you want an El Nino this year, y'all, then you need to grab them, because I've got 8 left. And then we'll restock in the spring, but for this fall season, this is it. So El Nino is that new desert orchid, right? I know that it has been over social media in different platforms. I have one up by the chicken coop that is every bit of, 8 feet tall, gorgeous pink flowers on it. They almost remind you of the very large snapdragon bloom on it. Extremely fast grower. Mine's only been in the ground a 1.5 years, and it started out as a 1 gallon, a little teeny 1 gallon, and then it has just gotten huge. So it's a fast grower. You get those beautiful flowers on it. It is fragrant. It loves the heat. It is fantastic. So El Nino has been wildly popular this year. If you want one, I got 8 left. Otherwise, you got to wait till next spring. And then for my shade folks, the paisley pup. Paisley pup is also known as a dog hobble. It is a native shrub. It is an evergreen, and it has all sorts of fun colors on it. So as the mature leaves, you'll get some cream in there. The new leaves, you get that pinky hue to it. This is going to be a little bit more for your shade garden. It is going to be basically like a 3x3, and it, like I said, it is a native plant. So it was funny, I learned this from Jane at Spring Meadow at Pinehurst. So she was talking about the paisley pup that is called a dog hobble because native plant, and it'll grow like as a thicket. So when the hunters used to hunt with the dogs would get caught in it and they would get stuck. So that's why it was called a dog hobble, was because the dogs would get stuck in there. They'd have to go fish them out. So I personally have paisley pup in a container. This is just going to hang out there for me. I'm wanting some evergreen interest in a container by the garage. It is gorgeous. It gets morning sun. It gets in the shade in the afternoon. It's going to stay there for the winter, and then what I'll do is take it out in the spring and then move it into another garden. But it is stunning, hugely popular. Like I said, we've got a couple of those left as well. Now, if you are looking to add roses to your garden, y'all, now is the time. Roses are very cold hardy, especially if you're in the South. They love to be planted in the wintertime. They'll have great root growth during this time. So we have got the Rise Up series. We have the Rise Up Lilac Days, one of my favorites. It has performed really well for us. And Rise Up Amberness. So if you're familiar with At Last, Amberness has a very similar color as At Last, and it is so fragrant. So I am adding At Last to our garden boxes, that center garden box. And can I also say, look at the foliage of this. Look at the current foliage on Rise Up Amberness. It is gorgeous, nice, really rich green, not showing any signs of stress. Even that's one reason that I love Amberness, besides the color and the smell. It is a very healthy rose. Does not tend to get powdery mildew for me, which is always a problem. So lilac, Rise Up Amberness. These are what they call like dwarf climbers. So you can get them some height to them at that 4 to 5 foot tall, or if you want to keep them shorter, you can do that as well. So we've got also the Oh So Easies. You've got Ice Bay, you've got Italian Ice, Easy Peasy, all sorts of ones. Then we've got the Reminiscence. These are going to be more shrub roses. You've got Coral, Crema, and Pink. And then your roses, of course, will do rose hips. People will ask, they're like, what are those balls? Well, these are rose hips, y'all. And so if you don't go ahead and deadhead your shrub, your rose, they will form rose hips, and they give you this gorgeous orange color in the fall and the winter. We also have, speaking of, there is At Last. Look, she is still putting on some flowers. We've got some buds right there. Love At Last. It is a classic shrub rose from Proven Winners. Delicious fragrance. Love this rose so much. Also, if you're looking to add a mock orange, then the new one this year is going to be the Illuminati Spice. Illuminati Spice is going to be a more nice petite, not going to be such a huge, large mock orange. Why do we love mock oranges? Because the fragrance, my friends. They have a delicious fragrance. Very nice, petite little shrub. It's not going to get too big. Great time to add it into your garden right now, especially if you're in those colder zones. This is going to be a shrub that is going to be for the cooler zones. Here in the south, I think it's only hardy to a zone 7. It doesn't really do super well here in the south unless you have that nice kind of protected area for it in the heat of the summer. So my cooler zones, this is going to be definitely going to be one for you. We have got the new Sting. Sting is such a buzzword right now out there in the horticultural world, because Sting is this gorgeous, sweet little evergreen. Now I say sweet little because she's little right now because she's a court. But this is brand new on the market. It is going to be hugely popular because of that right there. This is Sting, very upright, but extremely narrow. This is going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8. It's only like 1.5 feet tall, y'all, but 15 to 20 feet tall. So 15 to 20 feet tall by 1.5 foot wide. I think I said that wrong. I don't know if I said that right or not. But anyway, 15 to 20 tall, 1.5 wide. This is perfect for an accent plant. Now, if you want to do a privacy hedge, probably wouldn't do Sting just because it's going to take a ton because it's only 1.5 feet wide. But what I would recommend to you is North Pole. So North Pole is this sweet little friend. Now, we have North Poles at the nursery in the privacy berm, and man, are they fast growers. Stunning. Your North Pole is going to be, it is 10 to 15 tall and 3 to 5 wide. So you can use this. It is a fast grower. You could absolutely put this, move it up to a container, grow it out some if you wanted to, or if you wanted to put it in the ground, you can, because it is hardy in zones 3 to 8. Very cold hardy. Even in my zone 8A garden, it is thriving. So North Poles are great for privacy screens and hedges. Another one that has been so stinking popular is Sweet and Low Sarcococca. I love this shrub. So it is a nice evergreen. It is a native. It tends to like the areas that are a little bit more moist. I have it both in the landscape and I have it in a container. It is called Sweet and Low because in the early spring it will do these sweet little flowers that have a lovely fragrance to it. Hardy in zones 5 to 9, 2.5 tall, 2 to 3 wide. It is that evergreen. It has high deer resistance.
If you put it in a moist area, you're going to notice that it's going to spread. Not going to be a crazy invasive, but sweet and low sarcococca is a great evergreen for your shade that is deer resistant. Love that plant very, very much. I have been very happy with how it has performed for me. We have had multiple people they buy a couple and then they love it. They come back and they buy more because it is such a great plant. Now, if you know anything about me and the privacy berm, probably my biggest surprise in a pleasant way has been the Winecraft Gold smoke bush. Y'all, this thing is absolutely thriving in the berm. And we have a good little number of the Winecraft Gold. You can see them right here. Now, they are deciduous. They're not going to be an evergreen. So you can see that some of them are starting to get some cold hardiness, like some cold damage on it. Again, they're not dead. They're just starting to go dormant here. But your Winecraft Gold is going to have that gorgeous chartreuse color throughout 3 seasons out of the year, right? It is a full sun plant, so depending on where you are, even for me in a zone 8A, it is in full sun all day long, but it does start to get some shade like about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so it gets a little bit of a break. Super fast grower, really impressed with this. So if you're looking to add some nice pop of color, I have it as just as a specimen plant, and then I have some holy grail, so that nice dark black foliage around it. Gorgeous. Of course, it's known as a smoke bush because after it blooms, it'll have these like plumes that it looks like smoke is rising from the plant. Love that very, very much. So many other great different plants in here that are going to be really fun. New additions. We have got glow stick. I do have glow pop right back there too. But glow stick is a Japanese holly. It is upright, and you can see that it has, especially because the sun is hitting here, that it has this beautiful chartreuse color to it. Now, glow stick is, again, relatively new, Japanese holly, a great boxwood alternative, hardy in zones 5B to 9, and it'll be 4 to 6 tall, 1 foot wide. How fun is that, right? So this, you could absolutely do these in containers. It would be a great option for you that are in containers and or just as an accent plant for sure. And then moving on, there's so many other great ones that we have. The Spireas double play dolly is new. Super impressed with this plant. We're going to be adding it to the berm as well. So dolly will give you some nice pretty purple flowers on it. Of course, your Spireas are going to be deciduous. It reminds me of the foliage of candy corn, but it's more hardy, especially how we talked about that you get those late spring freezes. Dolly will keep its foliage when it's cooler, as opposed to sometimes you'll get a lot of burn on the candy corn and you kind of have to start all over. Dolly is going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8, 2.5 tall and wide. And it is a rebloomer, so it just constantly blooms throughout the entire season. If you're looking for crepe myrtles, you've got crepe myrtles. You've got center stage pink, red, and coral. All of those are there, and then just keep on, we just keep on going, y'all. So we have got the azaleas also. So I love the Perfecto Mundo azaleas. You can see that they are still blooming in November. Not a huge display, you know, right now, but you definitely have the flowers on them. This is Perfecto Mundo fuchsia with this nice hot pink flower on it. Of course, your azaleas are going to be evergreen. Your Perfecto Mundos tend to be a little bit more tight and compact. Look at the double pink. Look, y'all. Perfecto Mundo double pink. Is that not a stunning flower? Absolutely love it. Roughly, they're going to be like a 3x3, but just beautiful. It is a rebloomer, so you have a strong flush in the spring, you have it in the summer, and then you have it in the fall. So there's lots of different colors out there, and if you're looking and you're like, well, that's really sweet, but I want something bigger. I need a bigger presence in my garden. Well, let me introduce you to the Epic series. So this is Epic Pink, and you can see, look at this, y'all. This is what we think of maybe as the classic azaleas, right? But look at those huge blooms on this. So here is the epic pink, and then here we go. Look at that. Love it. These are going to be a little bit bigger in that like 4-foot size, but just a nice big presence in the garden for you. You've got the Perfecto Mundo double white, all sorts of great options for you as far as your shrubs go. So I know that we are constantly, especially this time of year, we've got some landscape projects that we need to do here at both at the house and at the nursery. And so this is the perfect time to be doing those. So if you're interested, you head on over to gardeningwithcreekside.com and we will get these out to you, like I said, ASAP, because if they're here, they are ready to ship and you can go ahead and have fun adding them to your garden. But just tons of options out there for you. We love planting in the fall, especially here in the South, because while the temperatures outside may be getting cooler, of course, our ground here never freezes. So it is, the ground is still relatively warm, and then this is where you get great root growth. This is why we also use biotone, right? So we use that biotone for your roots to get a great healthy start and get going, because of course here in the South, what do we have to worry about? We worry about the heat and the humidity of the summertime, because it is just nasty and brutal. So get these plants well established with their roots before the heat of the summer hits. Now, as a little teaser, do you see these racks? Yep, my friends. So we have got some we're adding new perennials to both the online store and I have here at the nursery. These babies just came in this week. We're going to get them potted up. I will tell you all about them when it is appropriate time, but there's just give you a little teaser right there. All sorts of great things. They're going to be coming. More are going to be coming. I think you can probably tell that we've got some eucharis in there just by looking at those colors. So we will have these, we'll be putting them up on the website soon also. So once we get them potted up, we're in the process of putting them on the website. These will be pre-orders. So the perennials will be the pre-orders. We'll send them out to you in the spring when it is appropriate for your growing zone. So lots of fun things happening around here. We will be closed this week of Thanksgiving, and then we reopen on December the 4th for the garden center. So the garden center has 2 more weeks that they are open, and so the last day for the garden center is December the 14th. Don't worry. E-commerce and the videos, we're still going to be rolling and cranking all throughout the winter time. Just know that the garden center takes a little break about mid-December through mid-February. But anyway, hopefully this has been fun and informative. Y'all have an amazing day. Again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy it. Relax. Don't be stressed. Enjoy it. I'm preaching to myself. Breathe in and breathe out. It's going to be great. We'll see you next time. Bye, friends.